Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question and I want you to think of the very first thing that pops in your head. What is the last TikTok audio that got stuck in your head? You know what I'm talking about, right? It's when you watch 100 videos with the same trending sound and now there's nothing that you can do about the sound that's stuck in your head. Now, when it's a sound that you love, getting it stuck in your head is a great thing. But if it's a sound that you hate, it's the worst, not being able to get it out of your brain. But music and sounds aren't the only thing that can get stuck in our brains. There are times that I want a cheesy gordita crunch so bad that it is all I can think about. There are times when it's a pair of shoes that I want to buy or candy that I'm dying to eat. Listen, we all have that idea of something living in our minds rent-free, whether it's a thing, a person, or an idea. So, in this series, Potential, we're talking about dating and relationships. You may not call it dating, but I'm sure that you can figure out what I mean. You know, it's whatever label that you put on it. We're talking about the idea of having somebody in your life that you're interested in romantically, and that hopefully they're interested in you too. Okay, so if you found yourself interested in someone recently, then you know that it can be a lot like that cheesy gordita crunch. You just can't get that person out of your mind. No matter how hard you try, thinking about them never gets old. Talking about them never gets old, at least not to you. And that's normal, by the way, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It only becomes a problem when a person, or the idea of having a person, becomes an obsession. So, how do you know when thinking about someone becomes an obsession? It's when you have that somebody in your life and they're all you think about. It's when you have that somebody in your life and they're the only person you spend time with. The people closest to you haven't even seen you in a while because most of your free time is spent exclusively with that person. It's when you have somebody in your life and they're all you talk about. Your friends don't even have to guess what you're gonna talk about today because they already know. It's when you don't have somebody in your life, but the idea of somebody takes up your headspace. You're searching and you're waiting and you're hoping that you would find that person and you talk about it more than anything else. So most people fall into one of two categories when it comes to this. You either think, that is not me. I'm not that person, am I? Or you might be thinking, why is that even a bad thing? And there's nothing wrong with having someone in your life. And there's nothing wrong with you being excited about it. And if you don't have someone in your life, and if you wish you did, there's nothing wrong with that either. But when everything else in your life seems to fade out because of this person, it can become problematic. Why? Because you get distracted. There is so much to do in high school that actually matters. And it's easy to miss out if all you're focused on is the relationship that you're in or the idea of the relationship that you want to have. Like chances to make memories with your friends, chances to connect with your family. You'll miss out on chances to develop your talents. You may even miss out on chances to learn new things or influence others. Being too focused on any one thing, whether it's a person, a relationship, or a hobby, is never a good idea. And second, you push people away. Look, your friends are not stupid. They realize, even if you think they don't, when your heart or your time or your energy and your thoughts are not with them. When you ghost them all the time to hang out with somebody else, they feel that distance and separation too. If you're not careful, eventually that can take a toll on relationships. All of a sudden, the people that you used to care about the most, they don't feel like you care about them, even if you do. And we've all been around people who act like a married couple in high school. And even if it seems kind of romantic, it also seems kind of weird, right? Like we've all seen people give up friends or sports or even the things that they're so into for the person that they're dating. And deep down, we all kind of know that they're probably missing out. So the question is, what do you do about it? You can't not care about someone if you care about them, right? I mean, isn't that the whole point? But how much is good for you and how much isn't? We're gonna look at a passage from a letter written by the Apostle Paul, who wrote almost half of the New Testament, all letters to emerging faith communities in the first century. And it's good for you to know that his motivation was always out of love. He wanted people to love God, love each other, and live better lives, which is something that we all want too. The letter that we're gonna read from today was written to a church in a town called Ephesus, which was a very diverse place in modern day Turkey. Now, dating as we know it did not exist when Paul wrote this. And even though his passage doesn't specifically talk about dating, the truth that comes from it can certainly be applied. So this is how Paul starts. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise. Paul is basically saying, pay attention to how you're living your life. Don't just let life happen to you. And as you choose how you live, wise is better than unwise. Wisdom is more important when we talk about dating because having somebody in your life is rarely as easy as right or wrong. Most of the time, dating decisions have more to do with what's wise or unwise. It's rarely as much about, is that person good or bad? And it's more about, are they good for me? Or are they good for me right now? Paul is encouraging his audience. Pay attention to what you do and then make the wisest choices that you can. This principle can be applied to just about anything, your friendships, school, your schedule. But for the sake of today's conversation, here are some questions to ask yourself when it comes to dating. First, at what point does being interested in someone or the idea of someone cross the line into obsession? When it comes to my interest in dating, how close am I to that line? So what are some indicators of interest and what are some indicators of obsession? Okay, so for example, following someone on Instagram, that's interest, right? Now, checking their Snapchat story constantly all day to see if they posted something new, that's obsession. Okay, here's another one. Saying hey to them when you see them in the hall, interest. Yeah. Now, being late to your next class to walk by them, that is obsession. Okay, here's another one. Sending someone a good night text, that's interest. But having their face printed on the pillow you sleep on, obsession. And by the way, if you're wondering, yes, I have a friend that actually happened to. Paul is also not done making his point here. He continues, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Now you may be asking, is Paul saying that the world is falling apart? No. So in Greek, the original language that this letter was written in, the word that Paul uses, evil, it means something a little closer to being annoying or difficult or time consuming. In other words, your time gets taken up by so many different things that it's important to make the most of the time that you have. Paul is simply pointing out our habit of wasting time in unwise ways. It was true for people back then, and it's true for us too. We all know what it's like to waste time on all the wrong things. Sometimes we do this and it's not a big deal, but sometimes we miss out on the stuff that really matters. So Paul wants his readers and us to make the most of our time. And when it comes to high school, this is important. High school is a unique part of your life, and you will never experience anything like it again. You will look back at these days and be surprised at how much it matters and how much it shaped you. And you don't want to say, I missed that time with my friends because I was always distracted with this one relationship. Or it sounds like it was fun, but I don't remember much of it because I only hung out with one person. You have a chance to encourage your friends, influence people who are younger than you, and develop yourself in so many areas while you're in high school. Dating can be a great part of that, but when it takes up too much space, it has the potential to leave you or the other person with hurt or regret. In other words, God is at work in your life, and God wants to use you in specific ways while you're in high school. And while dating could be a part of that plan, it can also be a distraction from it. So to make the best use of the time that you have in high school, one thing that we can take away from Paul's encouragement to us is this: nothing in life should hold you back from the rest of your life. That's not a knock on the person that you like or the person that you're dating. And it doesn't even mean that that relationship doesn't have potential. But it does mean that the more we make someone the entire focus of our life, the more potential that we have to miss out on other things that also matter. And don't miss this: another human being is not meant to carry the weight of all your emotional needs. Now, that's too much to put on one person. And not only that, but sometimes the best way that you can care for another person is by helping them make the most of their time too. Is dating something you can do with part of your time or part of your attention? If so, awesome. You have a ton of other parts to focus on right now. But if your dating life is holding you back from the rest of your life, it may be time to rethink some things. And here's what that looks like. So first, broaden your focus. When we become so obsessed with the person that we're dating or the idea of dating someone, we can lose sense of all perspective. And so to get it back, start living a life that includes more than just one person. Expand your world, broaden your focus outside of the person that you're dating. Next, if you're currently in a relationship, don't forget the people around you. Don't ditch your friends. Don't abandon your family. Don't lose interest in the people who have been there and been important in your life. It can be so easy to want to spend all of your time with that person that you're in a relationship with because, yeah, they're awesome. But don't let the other relationships that you have drop along the way. And third, if you're not dating anyone, don't make that your main goal. If you're not happy with your life or who you are while you're not dating someone, then you will not be happy when you are. No one can make that change for you. You don't need another person for you to have a great high school experience. Go be you. Do things that you like to do. Hang out with people that you enjoy. Okay, listen, dating is not a solution. And why? Because being single is not a problem unless you've made it a problem. If you meet someone along the way, that's amazing. But don't spend high school waiting around for that person to just show up. There is way too much that is awesome about your life to not enjoy it because you wish that you were in a relationship. Listen, dating can be a really good thing, but don't miss out on being in high school because you're taking dating too seriously. Don't miss out on the chance to figure out who you are because you're too consumed with a relationship. Remember, nothing in life should keep you from the rest of your life, and that includes your relationships. If you feel like, hey, that's me, then maybe you can pull your small group leader or another trusted adult to the side and let them know that you'd like some help. They can help find creative ways to get things back into perspective, and sometimes talking about it makes all the difference in the world.